Good evening, everybody, and welcome to California Free Radio. I'm Mike Netter, accompanied tonight by, as
Hey,
always, Scott Piotr.
Scott Piotr
Scott
here.
is in witness protection. Yes, indeed, out of the state right now. Kurt, well, we've lost Kurt only for the evening. So some of you applaud, some of you whine, do what you want. California Free Radio, as you know, we are behind the blue curtain in California, and we have lots to talk about tonight. This is our final show of the year. We're going to have a team blasting in from a live event. I'm going to be talking about the Prop 50 hearing, where, as everyone knows, I am a plaintiff, and talk about what went on there this week and what we expect to come down, which could come down actually why we're on the air. As always, this is on at Netter Mike, at TaxFighter7 on X. We are on LinkedIn, blasting live at Netter, at Mike Netter, on Facebook, on Mike Netter, and our Outrage channel on YouTube. Everyone out there, as I said, this is our final show of the year, and I want to start off by saying it's been quite the 2025. We've had high points, we have low points, but the main thing I want to get across tonight, we're a political rant show. That's what we do. But it's been a good year. And it's been a good year for a lot of reasons. And the main reason is we've got Donald Trump in the White House. Wouldn't you agree, Scott?
Well, certainly there is a lot to rant about, especially in California. But yeah, like you can see on my background here, the year started off really well with Trump and Elon Musk and Doge going after government inefficiency and calling out multi-billion-dollar boondoggles, almost daily there for the first couple of months of his administration. It's hard to believe he's been in office less than a year, and he still has all of these things that he's accomplished. It's been a whirlwind year. In California, as the country goes right, as the country gets a little smarter, as the country gets a little bit more common sense, California's gotten worse. It's gone left. It is a bureaucratic nightmare. It is an example of failed government. And that's what happens when you get a single party rule in the state, in any state. Single party, it's all of the Democrats. Everything that's here, they can't blame the Republicans for anything. Republicans are what's called a super minority, and California is about as blue as you can get. Even though 40% of the electorate voted for Trump, we have less than 25% in the legislature in either house, no state offices, and only 9 out of 52 congressmen. So we are surely a blue state, and anything that happens in the state, you can blame the Democrats. And there's a lot to blame. We're going to talk about a lot of that tonight. And one of the things is this Prop 50 stuff. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, but one of the things I want to start off that Donald Trump announced last night, because it has wide-reaching implications instantaneously for everyone out there. If you didn't pick up on it, I don't think it got big network coverage today. Shocking. Is he is awarding every member of the military a $1,776 bonus. You get the meaning of that there instantaneously. So they're going to have extra money for Christmas. And I saw a great post today that I didn't post on my X feed. It was from a military spouse that said, these men and women spend holidays away from their family. And for many of them, $1,776 is going to go a long way towards giving them an incredible holiday. This is instantaneous. It's not speculation. Trump is doing it out of the tariff money. And it literally is not
What are you
getting
saying? What are you saying? Who gets the money?
the military, the members of the military.
How cool is that? That's
That is
great. That'll make a
incredibly
great
cool.
Christmas for them.
It is a great Christmas, and it is something that, again, in today's society, I think we've lost track of what the military does for us, how they keep us safe, and
That would be
defend the
our
right
all
to disagree.
volunteer military.
Yes, we are. I'm going to do some of my sharing here. I want us to talk about Prop 50 here in just a bit. Scott, hit me with some of the things this week. Did you watch Trump's speech last night? Did you have the chance? Because I know you're out of.
I did not have a chance to watch his speech last night.
So some of the
Eight,
highlights, which I think are important, he talked about inflation's going down, and they try to spin it different ways. And I want to add to everybody here, I'm a math guy. Everyone knows that. The reality is inflation is dropping. Gas average around the country is around $2. That includes California, where gas is skyrocketing. So when you talk about things going down and inflation has cooled, you've got to remember California is 12% of the population, and we pull up the average price of gas. We pull up the inflationary rate. And Donald Trump, in 9 months in office or whatever it's been, has, my opinion, has done one heck of a job. He might be a bit boisterous for many of us. He's a New Yorker, but not for me. But the reality is, he's accomplished a lot, and he got on and addressed the nation last night. And even the liberal press, Scott, couldn't find a lot wrong with what he had to say. Scott, have I frozen or have you? Scott?
yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, you look, it's okay. Well,
I
Scott's
was
off
in
site,
I
so
was
we're
in
going to read a couple. Go ahead.
internet hell. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm going to do some sharing here, but I want to spend some time. Stephanie and the other members of the team, thank you for sharing on Facebook tonight. I'm going to do some stuff to get this out on X. Scott, what do you think are some of the big highlights? I'm going to start off on a negative point before we get the positive points in your show of things that have gone wrong in California this year.
You mean like high-speed rail to nowhere? Or wait, we started out the year with, you can see the background on our screen, huge fires that killed, what did we end up, well, 29 people passed away due to the
Well,
fires. I mean,
18, a lot, right? And that was in Los Angeles.
it was in Los Angeles and the Pacific Palisades and
Altadena.
Altadena was the main thing. Uh, they lost structures, they lost lives, and it was unnecessary, right? If Governor Newsom was doing his job, they would have cut the fuel and gotten rid of the fuel in the wildlands, and instead, the environmentalists control the state, and they think that, oh, we have to leave it natural. And I'm sorry, it's not natural already because we are here and development is here. And as a result, it started. In fact, it started way early, and then they didn't put it out, and they left it, and the winds picked up and started it up again. And there were, what was the number? Wasn't it like um, $7 billion in property losses, the largest ever
We
in
haven't
in
even
the
finished
country?
totaling it up yet. That's part of the problem, everyone out there, is that we don't know. And the reality is, again, speaking as someone who lost their home in the fire, is that the government of California, who caused much of the disaster, along with the government of Los Angeles County and the city of LA, literally hasn't decided yet in the city of LA to even waive the rebuilding fees for these people because they're not sure that they could afford it. If they could have done what they did afford and gotten a pool cover way back in January, almost a year ago, for a big reservoir, we'd have had the water that we would have needed to put out much of this fire. If the government had done their job and law enforcement, and we're going to get to that with Alex Villanueva in a couple seconds, and kept, so one of these fires was probably started by a homeless person, no one's quite too sure, had done their job to do the right thing, much of this wouldn't have started to begin with. It's pretty simple, actually, at the end of the day, that government needs to do their job. I say this quite often.
Yeah, I'm sitting there showing this tweet from Spencer Pratt on X. This is the Palisades Reservoir that had the pool cover they had a rip in the cover of the reservoir, and they shut it down all the way through fire season, made it all the way to January, which technically is not in the fire season, but since they didn't have any fuel mods and we had a dry fall and winter, it was very, very dry. And so not only did they sit there and uh, not modify the fuel and cause a huge, huge fire that was difficult to put out, but it's even more difficult to put out because they ran out of stinking water for $130,000 tear in the cover. And now, evidently, they're taking it out again. I mean, these guys not understand, how things work in life. I mean, holy cow. So as a result, that's the fires. By the way, not one building has been completed that was burned down. The exception is that there was a developer who had already pulled his permits or was about to pull his permits when the fire happened, and then the fire burned that house down, and he pulled his permits and has built it out. In effect, the fire did his demo for him because he bought it with the intent of tearing down the building, and he had new plans, very, very much far along in the process to get permits. And Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, goes out and brags about, see, we're rebuilding the Palisades. Bull crap. That was a developer project that was started before the fire started, and the fire just made the demo easy for this guy. Not a single house has been replaced in Palisades that got burned down by the fire that wasn't intended to be rebuilt already. So there's that one house exception. These guys are morons. Like Mike was saying, they can't even decide whether they're going to waive fees. If Look, as an architect, it would have been an easy thing to just sit there and say, "Hey, look, you want to rebuild this thing, and you want to rebuild it to the exact same house that you had there previously. Forget building it back to current codes. We're going to just back check to make sure that the plans you've got are accurate, and we're just going to let you build and let the inspectors, figure it out in the field." They could have had half these things rebuilt. There'd be a lot of people that have been out there rebuilding. They're morons.
And by the way, that was just January. We're not going to cover the year month by month there. Don't worry, fans, as I see you coming on in. But what we
And
are going to
Newsom has given
cover,
us a lot of information.
yes. And by the way, by February, you may have noticed that refineries are starting to shut down in California. This takes place. You'll feel the effect where those gas prices you see behind Scott are going to happen relatively soon because the refineries are starting to shut down. The biggest one in the Los Angeles area, and as President Trump has started to box oil out from terrorist countries like Venezuela, we are going to find that if we don't do something in California, it's going to infect the entire Western states. Before I get to the Prop 50 hearing, which is something I want you all to listen to what I have to say, I want to see if the on-site team we have is ready yet. So let me check in. Again, we're kind of
Okay.
winging
While
the
you're
show.
doing that, I'm gonna build on the gasoline prices. So California uses a specific blend of gasoline. California's blend of gasoline is supposedly for environmental reasons, and it burns cleaner and less hydrocarbons. I'm not sure if they're just global warming stuff or if it's actual harmful chemicals that it saves. But be that as it may, we're the only state that uses it, and our refineries in California are the only refineries that refine and put those additives in there in this blend the way that the state wants it. No other refinery in the United States refines the gasoline and puts those blends in. So we're losing our Phillips refinery here in December. We're losing our Valero refinery in, I think, April. And combined, they work out to be nearly 23%, I think, of the overall refinery capacity of the state. So we're going to have to import. And they're talking about the only refineries that do this blend are like in Indonesia. And so we're going to have to put it on a boat. Gasoline in a boat doesn't fare well as it is. It's a 44-day route to get from the Indonesia facilities to wherever it is they're going to dock and unload gasoline, which is highly, highly dangerous and flammable, not like crude oil. And they're going to sit there and we've got 11-day supply on site. So if something gets screwed up and one of those tankers doesn't make it, it has a mechanical issue or whatever, you know, we could very easily be out of gas in the state. Something's got to change. They're going to have to, change the blend or do something. But that's why these two refineries are shutting down, because they can't make the blend and make money. So it's not a good
Well,
sign.
yeah, and by the way, Valero Oil, I believe, is spending $1 billion or taking $1 billion write-off, that's with a B, to get out of the state. Let me see if our guests are ready to come on. We're doing something fun tonight. Do you see them in the green room yet?
I see them here, but I don't see anything on camera. You want me to bring them in?
Okay, we'll give them a couple seconds here, maybe around 7 o'clock. Scott, let's get to the Prop 50 hearing that I was at this week. Full disclosure, I'm one of the plaintiffs. There are 19 plaintiffs. We were joined by the Department of Justice. I spent, 2 of the 3 days in federal court in downtown Los Angeles this week. Watching our side, I thought, do a fabulous job. We were joined by the Department of Justice. To bring you up to speed, in case you've forgotten, we are suing Rob Bonta, Gavin Newsom, in the state of California because we believe that the Prop 50 maps were racially gerrymandered. Now, for those of you ranting and raving, we may not like political gerrymandering, but political gerrymandering is legal. I don't like the way Gavin Newsom went about it, but that may be legal. We feel these were racially gerrymandered, and everything I'm allowed to tell you about tonight is a matter of public record, including, if you follow in Netter News, which you should be following, some aspects of the case now where we involve the map maker. That is certainly something that we should talk about, because the map maker, Paul Mitchell, was not forced to testify. And in his deposition, and I want to stress something here, the part of this case, and again, I always say it's right hand, left hand, what you don't see going on, but the part of this case that should scare you is not the redrawing of the congressional districts. And for many of you, that seems like a shock, because that's where the magician, Gavin Newsom, is having you watch this hand. The scary part of this case is really how the government did it, the government of the state of California. And that should be by their own admission, how they did it, and the path they took to not telling the public how they did it.
Okay, so it was all done in secret, and
Not
now
only done.
now they're
Go
actually
ahead.
taking the map guy, Paul Mitchell, and they're claiming legislative immunity. Explain what that is.
Let me explain that a little bit. So, in court this week, we brought experts, including Dr. Trendy and other people, to show that the maps were drawn. And to take you back a little bit, nobody during the process, Ashley Zapata, one of the best reporters on the planet, and I'll say for Channel 5 up in Sacramento, certainly in California, was talking about interviewing legislatures that go, we don't know who drew the maps. Many of the legislatures, we can't tell you. Paul Mitchell drew the maps. As a matter of public record, as I've been trained to say, the maps were drawn by Paul Mitchell, who was paid for what's called the DNCC, which is the Democratic National Central Committee. Now,
Congressional committee.
No, Democratic National Central Committee. The DNCC, the National Committee, actually paid Paul Mitchell directly into the state of California to draw these maps. That's
Right,
a
and
matter of record.
Paul Mitchell is a well-known leftist who is a data guy and helps all of these campaigns with their data, their maps, and he's the guru that sits there and goes, "Hey, this issue's hot with these guys. You should mail or text or whatever to these voters. He's like Mr. Guru as far as maps and data.
Correct. And he runs PDI, who I'm proud to say has blocked me on X.
That's
Uh,
Political Data Incorporated.
correct. And I'm also proud to say that we showed in court that Paul Mitchell has a number of statements that he made to say that he wants to give, I'm going to paraphrase this, give Latino voters, their districts should be drawn to, quote, give them a better voice. Here's the really scary part.
Wait a second. That's basically racially gerrymandering, and he's admitting that was
Correct.
one of the primary reasons that they drew the districts the way they did.
Well, we based a lot of our case on CD 13, Congressional District 13, and it could have been drawn a different way. It was racially gerrymandered. Now, let's be clear.
What part of the state is that in?
That's up in Northern California, the Sacramento, Stockton area. Okay. Let's be clear on something that the court brought up themselves. The panel of three, this is like the Supreme Court, federal court, but there's 3 versus 7. And I'd like to say also that regardless of what decision we get, which could be breaking literally any time now, it will go to the Supreme Court. But let's be clear on something.
So regardless as to whether we prevail or Newsom prevails, the other party is going to appeal it to the Supreme Court. So it's going to end up going there.
Undoubtedly. Understand what happened in the last 5 days, which have been extremely busy. Various people were called in to be depositioned. And as was stated in court yesterday, and I'm going to look to get these names correct. Okay.
By the way, your case is the one that was joined by the Department of Justice.
Correct. The Department of Justice attorneys were there. Dylan Law Group was there. It was led by Mark Moiser and David Colombo. And the Department of Justice attorneys.
Wait a second. Is this the Motley Crew?
That is 3 of the Motley Crew. I'm the plaintiff. That's Colombo and Mark Moiser. There we are, indeed, in court.
From left to right.
I'm a plaintiff, not an attorney, so I don't speak from an attorney point of view. Okay, so I want to be really, really clear on that. What I do speak, and I want to look these notes up to make sure I get them correct here.
So you never really defined legislative.
So what happened is that we were allowed, there was a lot of debate back and forth whether we could even do a deposition on Paul Mitchell. There were limitations of parameters set.
Wait a minute. Why were there limitations or parameters set?
Because that's what the court finally agreed to, because originally Paul Mitchell said, I don't have to testify or do a depo for various legal reasons. We got around that, but he over 100 times, he said, I'm not going to answer that question because of something called legislative privilege. And I want to get that word correct here.
So legislative privilege. I've heard of executive, privilege. The president calls, if let's say the vice president was called to Congress to give account, and he didn't want to go or have him testify, he can call executive privilege. And the privilege there is, the legislative branch can't tell the executive branch what to do. You can pass legislation and he has to enforce it. And if you don't like it, go to the Supreme Court, but you don't get to tell the executive by the legislature. So in this case, this isn't like, the executive versus the legislative. This is the people suing the government. And now they're basically saying, we're the legislature. We have a privilege. We don't have to tell you anything. Nah. I don't get it.
So what legislative privilege is, and the courts normally don't like to override it, means if Scott was in the legislature, if he got elected, and I'm a legislature, and we have a conversation, It says just because we have a conversation, and Scott may say, for example, that he doesn't like Kurt. Scott, are you still there?
I'm fading in and out though.
Okay. Yes.
Wi-Fi connection is
It,
weak.
understand. So let me talk for a bit here. It says that those conversations which weren't open, in other words, on the floor, don't have to be revealed. In other words, they're not subject to being deposed. Scott may say he doesn't like Kurt. He may make an offhanded comment. They call that legislative privilege. That says everything that legislatures say to each other don't have to be exposed, deposed, or be testified on.
You mean if it
Now, would
wasn't
you
done
like
in a public hearing, which of course it was supposed to be done in a public hearing, but it wasn't. And so because it wasn't, they're saying we don't have to tell you. Nah, nah, nah.
pretty much. And so we don't know the intent of the map maker because Paul Mitchell, over 100 times in his deposition, and he avoided having to testify in court. And they allowed us to depose him, but he was allowed to use this legislative privilege to not say, he would just invoke it, invoke it, invoke it. And for everybody there, I really recommend, if you want some actually good reading for a deposition, it's public record. Look at many of these pages in the 200s, and you can see in the depot what he basically kept invoking it. So we don't really know the intent of the map maker. And
So the
so, in effect,
depositions you were limited because he refused to answer.
correct.
But
He
but
invoked
then when you
legislative
wanted to
privilege.
call him to the witness stand and he was actually on the witness list for the state, that the
For
state
us.
basically said we're declaring a legislative privilege, and the judge said, okay, you don't have to testify.
Correct. They're hesitant to override that legislative privilege because historically it means an offhanded comment that a legislature made could become to a big thing. They might say, hey, I don't like this pastrami, and that could blow whatever. And there's something to that. And again, I'm not a legal guy, but there's something to that. The real crux of it that should scare everybody here is understand, and Ashley Zavada's report on this all year long, one of the big stories. We have an annex or a new capital being built for $1 billion, and we don't know what the hell is going in it. We don't know how the money is being spent, and they keep it under a cloud of secrecy, which now they finally agreed not to sign NDAs on. But since I'm rather benign when it comes to legal, Paul Mitchell, who drew the maps that the public voted on, but we don't know what his intent was. And it was quoted yesterday, what I'm looking at, that the DNCC attorneys, which are Newsom's and Bonta's attorneys, also the interveners, as they call them in the case, were saying, talking about Shaw Miller, there's reference to it, blah, blah, blah. And the judge said, look, in all these other cases, we knew what the intent of the map maker was. The map maker was admittedly Paul Mitchell, and we don't know what the intent of our government is because we're not allowed to ask the government. Understand what this really means. To boil it down, is that the government of California, whether it annexes the capital, whether it's what's really happening with oil prices behind Scott, whether it's how the maps were drawn or what they asked us to vote on, which originally was supposed to be against Texas, and they pulled that word in at the last minute. We really don't know because they don't have to testify to their intent. So that's in effect what legislative privilege means, even though Paul Mitchell is not a member of the legislature. So understand this has pretty big implications, especially when you have a state, the largest in the union, being run by a supermajority that are the
Kind of
Democrats.
a Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Are you there? Okay, so in effect, they're saying the sausage is being made. You're not allowed to see the work product. You're only allowed to see the final product. And how we got to there is none of your damn business.
exactly.
But of
Scott,
course,
how
it's the whole key to your case, though, because you're saying how they got there was based on race.
indeed it is.
So you spent a lot of your presentation to the judge showing, like you said, CD13, and showing how they did it, and they did it. Every single decision they made on that was obviously race based. Here's why. So you tried to show the
Well, there was
intent
a
and
lot of detail, and you could see it in record from real experts being brought in talking about things that are relatively complicated. I think we made a very good case to show and understand when you say, well, it's just CD13, that has a domino effect on how the other, that's what we focused our case on. And it has a domino effect on how the rest of the districts are drawn throughout the state. To me, as a benign plaintiff in the case, it's fairly obvious this was drawn to racially gerrymander the vote by race in CD13, which affects the rest of them in the state. It's certainly Paul Mitchell has gone on public social media and other things that I won't go into here saying, yeah, that's kind of what I do. And we'll see how the judges rule at any time now. I
I was
want
just
to
say,
check our
when do you expect it to come out?
we
Besides
could
any time?
literally, we ask for ruling both sides by today or tomorrow, because remember, this filing period for congressional seats in California starts like next week or the week after. It starts really, really soon.
Right. So the goal here is to get an injunction to keep the state from enacting the new maps for 2026.
Correct. Let's bring in a fun event that we're at right now. Bring in Scott, bring him out of the green room, a buttload of people. We're going to have Alex Villanueva giving his speech right now, who's running for sheriff. We need him back in Los Angeles County. Bring him in. Let's see Alex.
Extra resources and delivers less and less.
Oh,
Or
I
let's take a
see.
sharp turn.
I see the floor. Are you there? Oh,
Actually forcing county government to do its primary function, which is provide for public safety, provide for the infrastructure, provide for the quality of life that's used. We have an MTA system, which is huge, and it's a rolling homeless shelter, where you would not allow your kids to board there unless they were with a security guard who was heavily armed. You just won't do it.
yeah. I think we will come back to them when they start giving us a couple of short-term interviews.
There
But
you go.
that is a fundraiser with Alex Villanueva, who is the former LA.
Adam Chow, I'm chairman of the LA Tax Association, which I serve on. We've got our friend John Cruikshank, who is running again for the council of Rancho Palos Verdes. You can see the list that we have up on the screen. We have Dave Bradley. We have just a great crew of people. We're actually going to try to beam in from their fundraiser tonight, which they're doing, which is a free fundraiser, by the way. It's really a taxpayers rally, what we're doing, because another problem is, everybody, is our high taxes in California. Not that, again, we know where our money's going.
And which we obviously don't. So, all right. So, do you want to go back to Prop 50, or you want to hit some other issues?
I think it's understand for Prop 50, again, to be well aware what you have in California, whether it's water, whether it's gasoline, whether it's your taxes. You aren't getting full or the buildings that the government is building with your money, whether it's how Los Angeles and parts of California burned down. We've simply become a political pack, if you will, for Gavin Newsom and for other members of the Democratic Party to use us as a stepping stone, smashing down our rights and our ability to know what's going on. And this is not the way that we're supposed to operate here in the United States. Plastic bags. Thanks for taking care of that. As homelessness roam the streets, as we're missing $24 billion that I think the federal government's going to be looking into sometime soon, as they're looking into Minnesota. Hey, don't forget us in California. Look, I was on Matt Gaetz' show last week. For those of you that I think saw it, I think I was on right before our show on Thursday and talked about it. Members from the landscapers to supervisors at childcare are filing false EDD claims, employment development claims, in Los Angeles County. Not hyperbole, they've been charged. How many members of our government are corrupt that we're finding out about in California? How many members of our government are operating in secrecy without us knowing what's going on? This has to change going into 2026. And for your friends that think they're just voting against Trump, that they're just standing up against Donald Trump, which is the political hyperbole that Newsom and his cronies would have you believe, what you're really doing is, in effect, not working out well for you.
It's true. And the plastic bags are just, to me, they're just kind of a classic example of government run amok. Because, anybody, literally, I was in Ralph's the other day, and they used to have plastic bags, and all they had was paper. They were ahead of the game a little bit, right? They ran out of plastic, and they're replacing it with paper. So they're implementing it ahead of the January 1st deadline. And it had its cute little, handles glued to the side of the paper. I didn't get 6 steps out the front door before the stupid handle broke right off. It's kind of like they're worthless. And they clog up landfills more because it takes a lot more resources to make a paper bag than it does a plastic bag. And the bulk of it goes into a landfill, which, by the way, never really digests, never really breaks down. It's just in a landfill forever. Whereas the plastic bags, shoot, I used to use them for, trash bags in my.
Scott, you froze up again on me.
Hey,
Scott, you keep coming and going here on me tonight.
yeah. Just as soon as I get onto a rant,
Can you see
I
our
lose my
public
Wi-Fi.
chat tonight? Hold on one second. I want to see. I'm only getting the private chat for some reason.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. So everyone out there understands the Prop 50, what we're fighting in court, is really just an extension of it. And the big takeaway is, again, our government. Let's check in on our group right now and see if they're still on stage or not.
They're on the boardwalk. 3 foreign countries.
Hey, Sean, are you there?
Yet the LA Times and Mike Bond describe them as our in-house neighbors. Yeah. To that I said,
Let's wait till Alex is done with his speech here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's boring enough. We don't need any additional boring. Okay. How many, I saw a great tweet of Elon Musk referring to the homeless. He goes, they're not homeless. And the Democrats want to sit there and paint them as homeless, like, oh, they lost their home because they couldn't make their mortgage payment and they're just down in their luck. And if you give them a little bit of a helping hand, they'll get up and they won't be homeless anymore. No, these people are on the streets doing drugs. They want to be homeless. And every single organization, all these NGOs that help them, they get, guess what? They get paid based on how many they serve. So let me guess. Do you think there's any reason whatsoever that these guys want to reduce the number of people that they serve? They want to increase it.
No, but I
So
was
you shouldn't call them homeless. Call
right.
them bums.
And the voice of what we're doing, I would like to add, is growing. We're going to bounce all over tonight. I was very honored this week to be retweeted twice, actually, reposted by Scott Adams, who everybody knows he's actually dying of cancer, but he does a great podcast. He
is of Dilbert fame, right?
Yep, Dilbert fame, and he's retweeted me. James Wood has, and you too can be part of that crowd because we are getting more views, like on my social media, and a lot of you folks that I try to retweet. And again, follow me at Netter Mike. DM me something you want put out there. Do it on LinkedIn. Do it on Facebook. I put out a post early in the week that didn't get attraction as some of the big name posts do that I do. But the reality is, okay, we're cable cutting is going like this, or like this, or like
Hey,
this.
let's
the
cut
view-
back to Sean and see what he's got
Okay.
going. I'm
All right,
sorry
let's
to
cut back
interrupt.
to our live broadcast here.
Hey, Sean.
Nice shoes, Sean.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're trying to get into a little bit more quiet area to be able to have people say hi
All
to
right,
us
we're
on
gonna
camera.
follow them. This is like one of those
All right, guys.
old CBS 60 Minutes where Mike Wallace would follow you around. Sean, move the camera a little bit higher so we could see somebody's
Yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah. I'm just sending it off right now. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You're live on the
Sorry,
air right
good.
now.
I'm just trying not to interrupt the actual. Yes.
There's John Cruikshank and Adam.
Okay.
Gentlemen, how you doing? And Aiden, I'm talking to you.
Very good. Thank you.
Gentlemen, introduce yourselves and who you are. I know who you are. Right now, you're on live on the air. This is like the old Mike Wallace following you around with the camera on CBS, except we're not going to ambush you. Aiden, let's start with you. Aiden, I met you
Hey.
probably 5 years ago, and you were about 12. No, I don't think you were that
Something
old.
like that. A little older than that, but very good to see everyone. Good evening. My name's Aiden Chow. I'm the founder and chairman of Los Angeles County Taxpayers Association.
And tell everybody what Los Angeles Tax Association is.
Sure. Well, firstly, find us at our website, la-tax.org. We are a grassroots organization of people from all backgrounds, all professions, and people who are professional about saving LA in terms of our taxes, lowering some of those, keeping those the same instead of raising them like they want to do, keeping an oversight on where that money goes, and electing people that want to make sure that taxpayers are getting what they're paying for, and also not spending like we have infinite amounts of money, because that's not true. We're in a deficit right now, and we want to get that out there and make sure that we're spending like we're in a deficit, not like we have money on growing on trees.
And by the way, there's some exceptions to sane professional people on the board because I'm on the board. And so most of you out there should realize it's people from all walks of life, and that includes me. Aiden, you just did a great hit tonight on Frank Motek. You're actually, Aiden, full disclosure, you're 20 now, I believe. Is that correct?
Something like that.
Something like that. So when we talk about up and comers, and we talk about the movement of Rebuild California, and we talk about encompassing people like me, and I ain't got no spring chicken, as they say in Missouri. And Scott is exactly, well, he's not even in spring anymore. He's more in winter. Okay. But the reality is we're encompassing people from all walks, the up and comers. LATax.org. I retweet the organization.
la-tax.org.
I just retweeted. I leave the dash out for the air because most people out there don't get the dash. I'm kidding. LA Tax. You'll find us. Okay. Aiden, I'm going to get back to you 1 second. The other guy standing beside him that makes Aiden look a lot better looking is John Cruikshank. John Cruikshank is the former mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes. Full disclosure, I worked on his campaign for supervisor running against Janice Hahn. By the way, LA County, how's Hahn working out for you? John, you're running again for office. Tell us about that and tell us what's going on in Rancho Palos Verdes.
Well, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I have a face made for radio, you'd probably say. So what's going on well, first of all, like you told the audience, John Cruikshank, a former mayor in Rancho Palos Verdes, city council member for 2 terms. We're here tonight, of course, endorsing Alex Villanueva for Los Angeles County Sheriff, LA Tax, unanimous vote. The board understands that, as our chairman, Aiden, said, tax dollars doesn't grow on trees. And we have a lot of hardworking people all throughout Los Angeles County that wonder why, as the sheriff just mentioned to us, the budget for the sheriff's department actually has increased by 25%. but actually we're getting 75% of the services that we used to get under his leadership. So we have to start asking, well, what's happening to our county services? As we talked about many times, Mike, we know that there's more than 110,000 employees in Los Angeles County. And so groups like Los Angeles County Taxpayers Association, the reason we exist is to protect the taxpayers that expect a lot of service. You ask anyone, what do you get from LA County? And you're not going to get a lot of answers because people don't really know. And that budget is, I think it's upward of $50 billion a year right now, as we've talked about in the past. And even here in Rancho Palos Verdes, where we balance our budget and the cost per citizen is way less than LA County, people in our city can actually see services that they get, where if you look at LA County, you wonder, what are we actually getting for those dollars? So people like Eric and his team and Alex Villanueva, who's running for sheriff, these are people that care about taxpayers.
And we're very proud to endorse Alex. So right now we're speaking to his supporters, to our supporters. We're making sure the message is getting out there that Alex Villanueva is once again running for sheriff for the third time in 2026. He won in 2018. He did a great job through 2022. Let's get him back for 4 more years of public safety with accountability and integrity. So we're very much.
100%. We're gonna bring Alex on in 1 second. I want to comment on what John just said, because right now Gavin Newsom is working. This is breaking news, to be able to grow money on trees. The problem is he hasn't solved the problem of burning the trees down. So the reality is, no matter what they do with our tax dollars, it doesn't work out well. And the reality is, most of us may not be alive to see it if we don't get better law enforcement. And why City of Los Angeles gets focused on, we do need wholeheartedly a new sheriff in town. I assume, remember, we're doing this live bounce around. Is Alex off to your left, Aiden?
No, right now we're going to head back into the event and we'll bring him in a little bit.
Yeah, he's still speaking and answering questions.
Well, yank his butt off stage. You tell him Netter wants to talk to him.
We'll let him finish. Great.
Right now, hold on 1 second. That's a good idea. Aiden still hasn't learned to be rude and crude. You'll get there, Aiden. But the way you'll grow up a bit here, okay? Right now, I'm going to do a couple things before you guys leave, okay? One, right now I'm posting on my X feed from LA Taxpayers, okay? Follow LA Taxpayers, the fabulous interview Aiden just did on Motec. But I want to add something before I let you go, Aiden, and make it perfectly clear. We have a lot of people watch this show, and I get a lot of liberals that throw eggs at me and do etc. But I don't know really of anybody out there that, and Aiden, you go to college, right? You're right, John.
Yes.
You meet a lot of people. Can you guys tell me the last time you met somebody who said this? You know what? I'm feeling a little depressed today. And you go, why? You go, I got to be honest with you. I don't feel I'm paying enough taxes. I really feel
Nobody
that,
says that and nobody ever will.
right.
I know, I
really
think I have
feel
some
that,
pretty liberal friends that say that.
well, in California, I mean, that really say, look, I think
Look,
I'm
what-
overserved. My roads are in such good condition. There was so little crime on the streets that I don't feel like, no one's ever said that. And what you're not watching is the way they're chipping away. And Aiden, one of the things, and John Sir's on the board too, I don't know if we mentioned that, we need to fight next year. They're actually going for a mileage tax. So if you
No,
want
that's
to
exactly
drive
right.
down,
We pay some of the most taxes for some of the least services per capita across the country. We're looking at some of the worst education, worst schools. We're looking at some of the worst roads. We look at some of the worst homelessness policy, fire prevention. You name it, we have it in terms of bad quality service for high taxpayer dollars. And then now we top #1 on the list for cost of living, for lack of affordability, for housing shortage, for high taxes. That's the problem with
But
LA
we have
County,
high-speed rail.
California, and that's
and
We
they're
don't-
giving away a Prop 13.
We don't have high
We're
speed
going to
rail.
be doing
But
email
anyway.
for LA tax pretty soon. Again, we're working with, we're working with Howard Jarvis and Susan Shelley. We have to get rid of the loopholes they weaved in the Prop 13 without going into detail. So you can find Aiden, well, you don't necessarily know where you can find him, but right now I'm pushing the post button. So if you're out there, and a lot of you are, I want you to listen to this interview with our buddy Frank Motek on KABC. John, how do they find you?
Oh, they should go to X and go to @SaveLACounty. They'll find me there, or they can go to my campaign website, johncruikshank.us, and find out what I'm doing there with my campaign for 2026 for
And I'm gonna
Rancho
do
Palos Verdes City Council.
I repost or retweet John all the time. Again, we got one up and comer and one guy not out the door yet, but certainly has. Yeah, you know, I got to keep the younger generation pumped up. That John Cruikshank did an amazing job as mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes. We need to keep him in politics, and we need to make sure that people like Aiden, who is chairperson of an amazing association, of which not only because I'm on the board, because we're fighting something that generally everybody's against, high taxes in Los Angeles County, need to get going. Gentlemen, you're not off the hook yet before we bring on Alex. I know you have a message for our audience. What is it? Because what's coming up next week and the week after that?
Great. We are wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Right now, it is the holiday season, so please enjoy that with your family. Have a lot of fun, and we look forward to seeing everyone in the new year.
Yeah, exactly. And all of that. And make sure you're saving up your energy because you have a lot of taxes to pay in 2026. So just store up that energy, enjoy the family.
That's
And
exactly.
then remember, LA County Taxpayer Association is actually fighting for you. And if you want to join us, please do so. This guy is an amazing leader, and we're very proud to work with him.
Thank you very much, and thank you, John.
Right. Thank you
Great.
both, you gentlemen, and I can't wait to see what you both got me for Christmas. Wait, you probably didn't get me anything. But look, if you're
Soon as
saving
you
all this tax money, think of an old advocate. You could buy me something. It could be small. It could fit in a time. Oh, never mind. Get Alex on as soon as you can, and let's get
Great.
rocking and rolling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much for coming on live tonight. I know you got a thing going on.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll put him back in the green room.
Okay, Sean will be back with Alex in here.
I'll keep my eyes open for it.
So everyone out there understand that there are lots of groups in addition to Rebuild California, California Free Radio, that I'm associated with, that Scott's associated with, that we have been fighting hard throughout 2025 and will continue into 2026 to help preserve not only our way of life and rights in California, but we're making inroads. I'm on a lot of text chains and other things that people like to pick out. I get it. It's the nature of conservatives and the nature of old and grumpier people. What goes wrong a lot of the time? I get it. But there's a lot which is going right. It took a long time for the state to get to, shall we say, where it is today. And it's going to take a few cycles to get the state back to where it needs to be. And I'm on a lot of, shall we say, national news, OAN. I get quoted by national things, et cetera, And a lot of times, I get the same old reply, why should we care about California? You better. When we talk about the inflation rate, like I started the show off with, inflation rate of the country is down, California is up. The inflation rate, the employment rate in nationwide is holding steady. In California, it's up. This brings the whole country's statistics up. We pump out bad stats. We pump out bad politicians. We pump out bad policy. And the government of California doesn't want us to know why that's happening. And that's really a lot of what the Prop 50 lawsuit is about. It's really about, would the government show us what they're doing? When did we become Russia? Scott, weigh in on that a bit.
When did we become Russia?
I mean,
Yeah, first of all, this year has been an amazing year. Next year with the midterms, we'll see if we're going to be keeping the coalition that Trump put together alive. And I've got to say that if we can't pull it together, um, and we end up with a Democratic Congress, they're going to impeach Trump. I wish we could say the same, that we could impeach our buddy Newsom, but that's not happening. And I think that we have first of all, this time at Christmas, we have a lot to be thankful for, like I said, and I think that we have a lot to look forward to in 2026. And I'm the optimist. I think we're going to do great, but we can't let up, because the other side, the evil side, is not letting up. In case you hadn't noticed, so if we want to save our country, we've got to keep our act together, keep our nose pointed in the right direction. And, we're going to have to fight those battles like Mike is doing with Prop 50. Uh, it's not an easy road to hoe, but it's one that needs to be done.
And each of
And
you out there,
and we have fun doing it.
right, and digital activism, as I call it too. Again, I want to stress this. Look, as most of you know who watch me on a regular basis, there's something wrong with that boy. There is. I may be a bit touched, but that's a story for another day. The reality is, I've built a pretty big following on social media because I stay on it. Yes, I was blessed enough to meet Orrin Heatley and the rest of the team, which kind of launched starting the recall of Gavin Newsom, but we did it without big money.
Yeah,
Today,
you use social media to your
we
advantage.
use social media. We say this all the time, the candidates out there. We're emailing for these various propositions, print, sign, mail. My newsletter, Netter News, is funded by advertise. If you have a small business, you want to advertise some, come up there. We're relatively inexpensive. Reality is, it's got 90,000 people that it goes out to. We get the word out. We try to put the word out, and we ask you to spread it. That's all we ask you to do. You got something you want to get out? Send it to me. We'll put it in Netter News. Got something you want to say? DM me. I leave my DMs open on X. It's not an accident. Some of you who do DM me, yes, I realize the medication has worn off. But many of you who DM me have legit things that you want to talk about. Facebook. We've got over 170,000 people aggregated on Facebook. Got a group, Steve Hilton for Governor, not an official endorsement for those of you that get grumpy. But that group has 50 plus thousand people in it, about 8 weeks old. LinkedIn, I talk about, I've got about 20,000. Scott has thousands of followers. All these people start this chain to get the message out. Great, I'm on the mainstream from time to time. But the reality is, the mainstream only picks up a small amount. And I actually don't know that I put it out yet. But understand, it's the producers of these shows in the local media that determine what you see and hear. You get to determine within parameters and reasons what you want to say. The government of California gets to determine what you want to know, and they don't want you to know a lot. Perfect. Oh, I love that. Make sure to send me that graphic.
My background.
Yes, that background, the graphic that you have. This is what we have to gather. We're off the air for the next 2 weeks because we're going to enjoy the holidays with our family. Netter News is going to put out, just so you know, I should make this clear, we're going to publish, but we're going to be publishing a Christmas edition with some fun songs. We're going to be publishing a New Year's edition to look back on what we've done with some of the best hits of the year. But we work every day, all year long, even slower on our days off, and making sure we can get out to you. And again, it's not Democrat versus Republican. It's the radical left who's trying to take over our government, a small group of people getting a large voice, and a large group of people having no voice at all, but choosing not to exercise that voice. And again, you don't have to be like me and Scott. I know most of you are going, "Phew."
Yeah, thank you.
But what you do have to be is willing to just even repost, retweet. James Wood reposted me the other day. Thank you, James Wood. Scott Adams. Thank you, Scott Adams. And some other names. I'm not here to name drop. I'm here to simply say that I work at what I'm doing: social media, newsletters, TV appearances, radio appearances. It's been a good year for that. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is help us amplify our side. The mainstream media has been taken over, the producers, by people, and I'm not going to say all the mainstream media, but a chunk of it that we tend to quote, that Trump sued and won. BBC, ABC. I get like this when I watch ABC. They are so extremely by sins of omission and commission, not doing what's right there. I'm going to check with our guys one more time because we are going to do a shorter show tonight and see if they're ready. Oh, bring
Yeah, I
them
think
back
Alex
on.
is ready.
All right, bring them back on.
But ICE is.
Alex Villanueva.
Wear masks. If you see it on skirmish lines.
All right, let's bring in.
That's where you have the.
All right, Sean.
Sorry,
let's
Mike.
let's have it.
Can you give us 1 minute? One more minute?
Sure, we're going to be on the air a couple more minutes, but bring them over.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Gather them all around real
take it.
quick. Get them together.
We're going to borrow Alex for 1 second.
We'll take Alex.
They're on the scene. They want to protect themselves.
We don't.
Yeah, everybody gets to look at the floor. That's why it's much nicer.
It's a great, I want to admit that's a
Sorry,
great
guys.
floor to have. Gentlemen, line up really quick here. Alex Villanueva, it's a pleasure to have you on. And since you carry firearms, it's a pleasure to be remote.
That's
for
Mike
me.
better.
Okay.
on.
Gentlemen, Alex, you are running again. We are 100% behind you. I want each of you again to go through, introduce who you are. We've got about 10,000 people watching you right now. Alex, let's start with you. You are running, and rightfully so, the Sheriff of Los Angeles County. Tell people quickly about you, even those that know you. You've got 60 seconds on how they can help your campaign. Tell the rest of these guys.
I'll follow.
Okay.
Mike, can you repeat that one more time?
California Free Radio.
Mike, one more time?
Welcome to
Alex,
California
welcome
Free
to
Radio.
California Free Radio. Tell Alex to start talking. Tell us who he is.
Just start talking about it.
Tell us how they can help
All
us
right.
campaign.
Can I talk smack about Mike first? No, just
You
kidding.
can talk smack about me. I'm very used to it.
There's a lot of material there.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Mike, thanks for the opportunity. We just wrapped up here and our message is clear. We need change and we're not going back to, systems of failure, so to speak.
There's 3 of them.
Let me go to a place.
Mike, we're going to move to a quieter place real quick.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Don't get dizzy.
Live radio.
Got a
Oh,
little-
wait a minute.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Now we're better.
Better?
All right.
You mean, Alex, you mean you're going to actually try and keep prisoners in jail instead of letting them out on the streets?
Yes, I want to undo that zero bail system that the current incumbent and LAPD chief and Gascon put into play when they decided not to defend the bail system that we already had that was working. So there's a lot of damage and we need to undo and figure out how to undo it legally. And we're going to start that process.
Alex, if you were to wave a magic wand, I want one issue. If I could say all I want for Christmas, if Alex Villanueva could wave a magic wand and you could change one thing, the one thing in LA County for Christmas, what would it be of the issues you're fighting for?
I just love to have an informed electorate. I mean, there's so much resource has been devoted to gaslight the community and they vote accordingly. And if we could just get an informed electorate, pull the wool from their eyes, we can have a different level of county government.
Alex, it's almost like we staged it. That's what I've been talking about. For everybody out there, we talk about the literally millions of views. That's almost difficult to say that we get. We are the media now. It is up to us to inform people how great a sheriff Alex was and will be again. Alex, how do they find you? I retweet your stuff all the time. I don't mean literally, so nobody get too excited and get in their car, but how do they find you electronically, your website, etc.? What is it?
Campaign website is alexvillanueva2026.com. You can find me on X as Alex Villanueva with 1L33, on Instagram and Facebook, Sheriff Villanueva 33. And we're constantly updating, putting information out there, and follow us. Give us a like, and we'll definitely keep you informed.
Alex has the full backing and official endorsement of the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association, of my personal endorsement. There'll be more coming. Alex doesn't know this yet, by the way, but he is going to be on one of our shows with a full interview after the first of the year. But before you leave, Alex, I know you have a message in the spirit of the holiday season for our audience who is already diving into their hot toddies. Happy New Year.
Simple message of safety. The Christmas season, unfortunately, 'tis a season for people to do some really stupid things. Just don't drink and drive. Make sure you know where all your guns are at all times. Don't let them fall into the wrong hands. And just have a safe and happy Christmas and all the season.
And whatever you do, don't register Democrat. Don't register to vote when you're drinking. Alex, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. God bless you. Thank you, by the way, for having the guts and fortitude, for doing something, let's be clear, Alex doesn't have to do. He could, quote, ride off into the sunset like the old Westerns. Instead, he's charging right into the OK Corral. Alex, have a great holiday season. We're going to pick you up with a full show after the season. God bless you.
You too, Mike. Take care.
Have a great Christmas, Alex.
And
Thanks
when
for
you
joining.
come on, you'll have more. Next, you'll have more time to talk smack about me. You got the holiday season to work on it. Okay, I think we got somebody else coming on, or I think we've lost the entire crew there. Scott, I think it's about time we sign off tonight here.
Have everybody go enjoy their Christmas time and preparations, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a safe Christmas behind the blue curtain here. We have a lot to be thankful for in spite of Gavin Newsom. And face it, we don't find our worth in politics. We don't find our worth in, governance, especially democratic governance. So just have a great time with your families this Christmas, and we'll see you next year. Mike?
And however you celebrate the season, be it Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, or whatever you are, I want you to remember something, especially as the new year comes and goes. Live in the present, enjoy the moment. We're going to talk a lot about 2026. We spent a lot of time looking at 2025. But the reality is, enjoy the moment. We need you physically fit and mentally sane for the new year. And don't forget that regardless of our political differences, we are incredibly blessed to live in the United States while we still have the right to argue. And although Gavin Newsom may not want us exactly to know what we're arguing about, we still have those rights. Enjoy the moment, everybody, this holiday season. We will be back on whatever the first week of January is after the new year. In the meantime, God bless. Remember, Netter News, all the social media will continue to be active. Scott, you have yourself a great holiday season too, wherever you're at.
Likewise. We will be back on the air January 8th.
There you go. January 8th. We're not doing reruns in between, but I will tell you this. It's your state. And the best gift you can give yourself over this holiday season is not the deep breath, not the gasp of anguish, if you will, or angst as to what's going wrong, but a deep breath as to what we've accomplished and what's going right. So breathe easy this holiday season, my good friends. We've earned it. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.